This is Eswatini TV News at 10. I am Natsile Sithole alongside Namaklaviso Ngambule. First up, here's a look at our headlining stories. The Prime Minister Ruslan Dlamini has launched a task team responsible for the fight against corruption in Eswatini. Clerk to Parliament Benedict Xaba says Parliament will formulate strategies that shield Eswatini's constitution and her system of governance. Eswatini National Petroleum Company says Phuza Moya's oil reserve construction project will require 2 billion emalangeni. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Prime Minister has announced a task team that will fight against corruption in the kingdom. The task team comprises of the Director of Public Prosecution, the National Commissioner of Police and the Anti-Corruption Commission.
The task team will report to the Prime Minister and work with the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. I urge the whole nation to work in tandem with this team as we fight this scourge. Government has all the confidence in this team that they will deliver. Corruption is making life worse for the poor in the country. And if we come together, we can change the current status and reduce poverty through fighting corruption. Fighting corruption should not be a rhetoric, but it must be demonstrated by action and evidence that corrupt individuals are brought to book and are dealt with according to the law. Speaking about corruption only and doing nothing about it is worse than corruption itself, as it exacerbates, corruption. Because those who are corrupt gain confidence that nothing will be done to them. Hence, we are tasking this team to act decisively on corruption. We look forward to Bopabuli, Kusibabanjo Huga, Bangene Potwen.
The Minister for Justice, Prince Simelane, has applauded the Prime Minister for responding swiftly to His Majesty's call of fighting corruption tooth and nail.
Kafisha sibonga ke umlangeni umhlonishwa ndvunankulu ukuthi atosukumisa le task team lelibandla njoba selichaziwe nje selihlanganisa bobani nabobani ukuthi
According to the Anti-Corruption Commission, there are over 200 cases of corruption that are yet to see their day in court. For Eswatini TV News, I am Linton Gule. It is Kumbuzo Dlamini in Babane.
Clerk to Parliament Benedict Xaba says Parliament will come up with strategies to protect the nation, its constitution and the system of governance, like organizing side meetings in world stages to showcase the system. Xaba said this when reacting to His Majesty King Mswati III's speech from the throne.
The Clerk to Parliament, Benedict Xaba, says Parliament will not wait for the country to be criticized, but will use every opportunity it gets to promote a certain system of governance.
Directed us as Parliament to defend the Constitution, to defend the nation, and also the system of governance, which is very, very crucial for the nation. So in football, they say the great mode of defending is to attack. So as Parliament, we are going to come up with strategies of defending the nation, of defending the system of governance, of defending the Constitution. One of the strategies that we are going to use is when the Pan-African Parliament or the IPU, they are having meetings, international meetings, whereby we are going to arrange forums where we shall present about the Constitution of the country. Also, we present about the system of governance, the monarchical democracy, how it operates. We have heard in many forums where people will say Eswatini does not have a constitution. There is no democracy in Eswatini. So we won't wait for such people, but we need as a country or as parliament to go out to the people, to go out to Africa. We go out to the nations and present what monarchical democracy is all about and the entire system, how we operate as a country. From also the presentation from His Majesty, he touched many issues about peace, integrity.
Xaba says Parliament will continue to capacitate parliamentarians about the separation of powers of the three arms of government, which are Parliament, Judiciary, as well as the Executive, in order to achieve His Majesty King Mswati III's directives. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Parliament.
The Ministry of Public Works and Transport commends His Majesty King Mswati III for a comprehensive speech from the throne addressing infrastructure programs to upgrade roads. The Chief Road Engineer in the Ministry, Vincent Dlamini, says the Ministry has programs in place to ensure that all roads are easily accessible.
Following His Majesty King Mswati III's speech from the throne implementing program to upgrade infrastructure, the Minister of Public Works and Transport Chief Roads Engineer Vincent Dlamini says that there are road programs in place to tar all gravel roads and resurface damaged tarred roads.
African Development Bank
The Minister of Public Works and Transport is doing a feasibility study and detailed designs for roads in Eswatini. The Spofaneni, Stobelweni, bypass Maloma, and from Maloma to Espambani Road is under construction. The African Development Bank has promised to assist with funds to build the road infrastructure, so Eswatini government will work hand in hand with the bank. Another gravel road to be tarred is the Eskangeni-Luve Road and Stobelweni-Tukahlati Road. Also, the Maloma and Bulungwane Road is within the project. Damaged tarred road with potholes are also part of the project. The MR9 road is under construction and the Mojane-Pixpeak Road is next.
Develop infrastructure, especially roads, attract investors which boost the country's economy and help reach the Sustainable Goal 8, which aim to get decent work and economic growth. Reporting for Eswatini TV, Cindy Sozwane with Sodom Langeni, Mabane.
The Church has an important role to play in ensuring that there is stability in various spheres of life in the country. These were the sentiments of Bishop Samson Tlajago, which he expressed when reacting to the speech from the throne delivered by His Majesty King Mswati III when officially opening the first session of the 12th Parliament of the Kingdom last Friday. Tlajago says every Christian has to get their hands to work in order to generate income and improve the economic status of their homes and that of the country.
Singaqala ngakukhuza libayethe bafana besilwane imbubu emhlaba sayibhodlile yatsinza tingoni letinengi lokufuneka tibukwe.
First, I would like to say bayete to His Majesty. The speech from the throne was very rich as it touched on many sectors of the country. What is important is peace. The country cannot develop without peace. The Minister of Commerce has to make sure that we have more foreign direct investors to provide Eswatini with employment opportunities, because hunger can make people do ungodly things. Their Majesties ordered that the elderly should have free medical services, but now there is no medication in the hospitals. Something that says more money should be pumped into the health system. Christians should continue to pray for peace and prosperity of the country.
Eswatini Water and Agricultural Development Enterprise Chief Executive Officer Samson Sithole has come out to state that the arrest of some employees working on the construction of the Mbageni Dam would not affect the continuity of the project. Sithole says he was informed by the project manager that the arrest will not stop the constructor from completing the 3.5 billion Malangeni Dam within the stipulated 51 months. Sithole also applauds government agencies that managed to crack that some of the employees were working in the country without permits.
Work is going on because the project manager he has the work permit and is able to pursue work at project zone. Indeed, the employees did have problems as this thing happened in the evening of last Friday. They wondered if they were to go back to work the following morning or today. The human resource of Sakalive, which is the company we employed, did assure employees that work is there and they can come and do work. And the brief that I got from the project manager on the ground, Mr. Bafana Matsebula, is that the company has assured the organization that work will carry on. With regards to the pace of the work, the truth of the matter is the pace cannot go in the normal way when the key personnel are arrested. But what we know is that the contractor is fully aware of the fact that they must make up for the lost time or else they will face contractual penalties. And contractual penalties here are very heavy. They come with heavy fines, and I don't think the contractor would want to do that. And besides, I have already spoken to them and they have apologized for what happened.
The oil reserve construction project at Puzamoya will require 2 billion emalangeni. According to the Eswatini National Petroleum Company's Chief Executive Officer Nhlanhla Dlamini, the needed designs are complete. He states that this will be a 2 to 3 year project.
After the recent public announcement by their majesties regarding the commencement of the National Oil Reserve construction slated for June this year, CEO Nhlanhla Dlamini of the Eswatini National Petroleum Company revealed that the firm is currently finalizing funding negotiations expected to conclude by month's end.
Kule facility lesikhuluma saba sePhuzumoya sitargeta ukuthi itawamba oil noma petrol was 60 days, which is 2 months.
Dlamini affirmed that all designs are ready, with the project set to kick off before June. The CEO emphasized the project's 2 billion emalangeni budgetary requirement, outlining its primary goal of securing a 2-month fuel reserve for the country.
Lama designs are the projects now sekaphelele, and we are happy with the outcome of our designs. Now costing ukuthi starts cost malini sesinabo lokho.
Dlamini disclosed that the proceeds collected through the 35 cents tariff amounting to 330 million emalangeni.
Umsebenzi wayo Sylvester ukhumbula ukuthi wasawapha le nkampani uhulumende wasinika 35 cents kupetrol ukuze sitawusebenzisa le mali leyo ufuli loan.
Dlamini emphasized that the facility will ensure the security of fuel supply, make a substantial contribution to Eswatini's socio-economic development. Dlamini highlighted that the job opportunities will accompany the project, echoing the sentiments expressed by their majesties regarding the significance of employment creation. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni Mbabane.
The Eswatini Electricity Company extends great appreciation to His Majesty King Mswati III for a comprehensive speech from the throne addressing the company's 82% electrification program. The company's communications officer, Khaya Mavuso, states that the company is working on improving that percentage.
Recently, we've just engaged in a network strengthening project that is inclusive of construction of a power line from Nhlangano to Lavomisa. Part of this project is aimed at benefiting over 8,000 families, mainly those that do not have access to electricity. Therefore, the implementation of this project is definitely meant to increase the electrification program. Additionally to that electrification program is the provision of a lifeline tariff for our customers that may not be in a position to pay electricity at the current rate. Currently, we are paying a unit at around 1 lilangeni 80 cents, and yet those that are on the lifeline, enrolled on the lifeline tariff, are paying almost 1 lilangeni. We are also looking at increasing local generation, especially considering that we are importing a lot of our power from neighboring countries. Contracts are ongoing in terms of renewal with some of our power producers or importers. However, we are also engaged in a number of projects that are meant to strengthen increase our generation capacity.
The director for the Coordinating Assembly of Non-Governmental Organizations, Thembinkosi Dlamini, commends His Majesty King Mswati III for a comprehensive speech that addressed all social ills, including health sector issues. Dlamini says it is now up to the government to provide a clear plan on how to provide solutions.
First amongst this is the issue of the access to the highest attainable standard of health, including mental health, where His Majesty was very clear to say no one should die in Eswatini because of lack of access to medical care. We see this as a very good roadmap for the government so that as they go into planning phase, they need to think about the plans, the strategies that they are going to deploy to ensure that the vision of His Majesty for his nation is attained. Secondly, the issue of gender-based violence and femicide was also key in His Majesty's speech, which is something that we believe as Congo and our partners is one of the key issues that as a country we need to address. Because once gender-based violence and femicide becomes a norm in the country, it is going to take many, many years to course correct. We are hopeful that the government, the 12th administration, is understanding precisely the task at hand. Not to say we need to increase security, have stiffer fines, and also we need to raise awareness. These issues go beyond those just matters of managing these issues, but to look more deeply into access to the economy, participation in the economy, joblessness in the economy, because when people are jobless, when people are hungry, they are more likely to be violent. So we need to address the underlying issues that are the precursor to violence so that we are able to then move together as a country in prosperity.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security has warned businesses and companies who fail to pay their employees on time, as well as not complying with the law in remitting statutory deductions, saying this is punishable by law. The Deputy Labour Commissioner, Kingdom Mamba, stated that they are aware that there is now a rise in companies, especially those in security, that are not complying with the law.
Yes, there is a rise in terms of employers who are, particularly in the security sector, who are failing to pay their workers, on time. Well, first and foremost, it is a criminal offense not to pay your workers. Section 47 of Employment Act actually stipulates that an employer is supposed to pay his or her employees within a period of about 30 days. So if you fail then to pay workers during that, within a period of about 30 days, then you are criminally liable as an employer to be prosecuted then when you, possibly if you are found guilty of having failed to pay these employees on time, you can be prosecuted and sentenced into 1 year imprisonment or 3,000 malangeni fine, or both. That is in terms of Section 44 Fire Employment Act. Well, but we do not simply just take employers, to court. There are processes. One, we have to conduct inspections, routine labor inspection, and then thereafter we do follow-up inspections. Then, if maybe after a second follow-up, still the employer is not willing to comply with the law, then definitely we have then to take that particular employer to court for prosecution. And we're supposed to take them to magistrate court. So each region, there is a magistrate court. So perhaps then the law is clear, we're supposed then to take them to nearest magistrate court in that particular region. However, like I've already mentioned, that first of all, our mission is not to, to move employers out of work. We try because our role is just to create a harmonious industrial relations. So now we come to check here both sides, and then if we see that, okay, indeed this employer is violating the law, then ultimately, as a last resort, then we can perhaps prosecute that employer.
The Eswatini Revenue Service says it is working with different stakeholders to ease congestion at the border and reduce the tax burden for SMEs, as directed by His Majesty King Mswati III when opening the 12th Parliament on Friday. This has been said by the Director Marketing Communications, Vusi Dlamini.
We want to emphasize that as the ERS, we working with other stakeholders. Obviously, there's some work that we are already trying to do on the ground, and this has come at the right time. The message by His Majesty has come at the right time. We are working through what we call the Eswatini National Trade Facilitation Committee, which comprises of various stakeholders, particularly business community. It also includes those entities that work at the border, which will include the police, because we know that when we're talking about the border, we're not just talking about the ERS, or the movement of goods in and out is actually impacted by various stakeholders. So we have a very clear agenda through the ENTFC on how we want to deal with those issues. But also the other thing that we want to emphasize is that recently we did a study, results of which are going to be out, which is the time release study. This also helps us to know how much time it takes for goods to be cleared at the border. And once those results are out, we are actually going to then find strategies on how we would want to deal with those issues, particularly at the border. I think the other thing that I need to emphasize is that the work that we do at the border is not also a function of us as Eswatini only. There's also our partners, our counterparts on the South African side. We are also having some engagements with them to ensure that the work that we do at the border, particularly the movement of goods in and out of the country, is more smooth.
Small and medium enterprises say if His Majesty King Mswati III's pronouncement on reducing the tax compliance burden for small and emerging businesses can be made a law, they will also grow to be profitable industrialists. Small and medium enterprises, during the speech from the throne, the King said they are the cornerstone of the economy and are pivotal in driving job creation, particularly in high potential sectors, including agribusiness, tourism, and information and communication technology, just to name a few.
The small and medium enterprises SMEs emphasize that it takes many years for one to become a profitable industrialist, while others eventually die while trying to grow their businesses.
The reduction of tax can assist us, but government should also look into ways to assist us to grow our businesses.
At least 2 years tax break because we were negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
They should reduce the taxes because when you make money, they take it through by taxing us.
In actual fact, we have no business because we are competing with supermarkets. We thank you, Your Majesty, but we also plead with financial institutions to be lenient to us.
The small and medium enterprises SMEs further pleads with financial institutions to also adjust their regulations to accommodate them. They say this will have a massive contribution in their efforts to grow their businesses. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Babane.
Operations of many businesses and disoriented many people's lives. However, it also brought an opportunity to some to start thinking out of the box and come up with ways and means of improving their economic situation. Silala Binyoni Multipurpose Cooperatives is one of the ideas that came to life during the COVID-19 era, as persons with visual impairment thought it could be the best way to improve their economic status.
The chairman of the cooperative, Mhlonishwa Mabato, says they have lined up many activities to implement for the benefit of the union's members. He says at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, people were compelled to stay home, and this was a setback to visually impaired persons as they mostly depended on public handouts. He says they then decided to save part of the 280 emalangeni which they receive as a grant from government, and that is how the cooperative came into being. He further assures the public that this is not a makeshift organization, but a legally registered entity.
Akusistokfela lenhlangano lekusemthethweni le-registered kuhulumende lephelele.
Lesikudiscoverile ngabo ba very intelligent.
Makhosazana Langa, an educator at the government wing charged with the responsibility of training the country's cooperatives, says Silala Benyoni Multi-Purpose Cooperative is on track in as far as government laws and policies are concerned. According to Eswatini Multi-Purpose Cooperative Union, the cooperative movement in the Kingdom of Eswatini began in 1964, and to date, the movement boasts over 100,000 members. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Mbonga Dube in Manzini.
And we'll now have a look at our financial indicators. On to sports, after the four teams being Babane Highlanders, Babane Swallows, Young Buffaloes and Green Mamba getting qualification to the semi-finals, supporters have predicted that it will be better to have a Babane Derby in the semi-finals of the tournament, which will automatically get one of them to the finals of the tournament.
Around the world like to see their biggest clubs in the country playing in the finals of local tournaments. In the case of Eswatini, it is different because under the Ngwenyama Cup knockout tournament, now heading into the semi-finals, supporters want to see the two Mbabane clubs, being Mbabane Swallows, facing Mbabane Highlanders, which will give a promise that one of them has to be in the finals.
Highlanders, Swallows, forces to forces.
We don't need the forces. Swallows, Babane Swallows.
The four remaining teams are Mbabane Swallows, Mbabane Highlanders, Young Buffaloes and Green Mamba, who are the defending champions. All the four teams have tested playing in the finals of the Ngwenyama Cup before. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini, Mbabane.
And with that, it's a wrap up. Next is another update from myself and the team. Many thanks for your company. Take care.